So, hello and welcome to our third Sunday story. And Stephen's with us. How are you, Stephen?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's great to have you with us. It's so good to have you along for Recenter this Sunday morning. And we're thinking about stories, and you're going to bring us your story, hopefully, in the course of the next two sessions. Stephen, how do we know each other?
How do we know each other, Alan?
That's a good question. Do we ever know ourselves, let alone each other?
Well, that's going deep straight away there.
Pull back.
Skip the small talk. I think I first met you probably through, was it at a Church Army cluster gathering?
I think so.
I think it probably was. And then training, explore, all the Church Army connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
Got to know each other.
And you've been down to us in Sligo. You've visited with us. You were in Lissadell with a team, I remember.
Yep, a few years ago.
Before COVID, we were allowed to go places.
But I mean, in the olden days, it seems like just so long ago. But yes, no, that was a brilliant weekend actually. I've been down a few times. The one I'm thinking of with the big Team Explore, where we're out sort of praying and chatting with people and stuff. That was lovely and a beautiful part of the world to be in.
Well, we were always so glad to see you coming. You were a real encouragement to myself and actually Sally as well whenever you were here. So no, it's great to have you. Great to have you along. So you currently work in Belfast?
Yes, so I am a Church Army evangelist, like Alan. Also a pioneer evangelist, like Alan. I'm based in the North Belfast Centre of Mission, which is really primarily on the Shankill Road in Belfast, and I'm involved in a whole host of outreach activities, projects, and sort of the church life in that area, in the rural deanery. So there's 8 churches, 8 Church of Ireland churches, but the Shankill there's no shortage of churches.
No.
There's something like 40 churches along the road, which I know seems absolutely crazy, and it is. So we try as best as possible to work with as many Christians. Try not to be too fussy about denominations and tribes. We kind of say, look, are you praying for God's kingdom to come? Are you seeking to, show God's love and connect with people? Then, let's work together, sort of thing. So.
Brilliant. You've been doing a whole gardening project. I know Sally has been following it on Facebook, and it shares bits and pieces of it, actually, I think, on the Centre of Mission page.
Brilliant. Thank you. I really appreciate that, actually. The shares and stuff. Yes, we were given this piece of land. It's about an acre, about the size of a football pitch, by the Methodist Church, and this land is fenced off, and it basically had been abandoned for 30 years. Nobody had touched it. So big, totally overgrown. And there was a gap in the fence, and it was a sort of a drinking den for local young people. So carpeted with broken glass, all this sort of stuff. So yes, we've cleaned it up. We've had access for nearly 2 years now. Cleaned it up, and it's been just an absolutely brilliant way to connect with the community, particularly men, who I think there's some smart person said a phrase about men connecting side by side and women connecting face to face. They can't, 2 men sit down to have a coffee and it's just a lot of awkward silence, whereas if you tell them to shovel a pile of dirt or something, they'll be best of friends by the end of it.
Absolutely.
So yes, the garden has been great, but for all sorts of people. So it's a good space, but still very much a work in progress.
Brilliant. No, I love to see. I know you got some new plans during the week. So, well, actually, Sally told me you got some new plans during the week.
Yes.
Reminding us what we're meant to be praying for.
Fresh off the press, the business guy who has donated 90% of our plants, we've just agreed with him. He's going to basically develop a corner of the garden for his YouTube channel. So it kind of he sells people plants, but then he wants to kind of journey with them with their plant throughout the year, how to care for it, when it flowers. So we're going to have he's going to do 12 beds for each month of the year and look at different flowering plants. So that'll just be brilliant in terms of education, getting local people involved and doing something positive, building confidence, and talking about creation.
It's amazing, really amazing, really amazing. So we've been doing our stories over these sort of few Sundays, and as part of Recenter, and we've been asking people to tell us a little bit about their faith stories over that time. And so, kind of, how did you meet Jesus, or how did all of that come about, or tell us a bit about all of that?
Yeah, wow. I mean, I always feel you just can't quite. For me, I've been a Christian most of my life, and I feel like every year it means more to me, and Jesus means more to me. And so I always feel when just telling the story of how you arrived there never quite captures it. There's just there is no end to the story. It gets better and better, and obviously it's hard as well. But through all the challenges, it gets deeper and deeper. But I think probably the first experience of me really deciding for myself, this Jesus stuff, this is class. I want more of this. I want to know more about this. Was probably as a young teenager at Summer Madness, and such a great youth festival, in Northern Ireland, just had such an impact on so many lives. But it was just, I'd been to church. I grew up in church. Church was bored me to tears. My mum stopped making me go to Sunday school at a young age, so that was me. But very much, a belief in God and a sense of God, at home, and that sort of stuff. But it was when I went there, and it was like, here's people, and like they're full of God's love. There's this life and this energy, and a few experiences of God's presence. And I remember just feeling like, everything I could ever want, all my kind of wants and desires just get quiet, and I just feel this peace, and it's just, I just thought, why would you want anything else? This is amazing, Yeah. So I suppose I was probably about 12, and from then I sort of, in some way, decided I want to follow God with my life. I want to sort of make my big life decisions with Him.
There's so much part of so many people's stories. Most people, it's amazing how many adults you meet who there's a bit in it. And the last couple of years with no COVID, with COVID, and like I know it happened this year, kind of, but it just, for us, it was such a break after like 20 odd years of being there in one way or another, not to be there. So I mean, there's something about that environment that takes God into being in community, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, you go with your mates, and you go to be with your mates, and obviously at Summer Madness there's always a broader agenda of, ladies and gentlemen and everything else that goes on. But there is a sense of being part of a Christian community that's much, much bigger when you're there.
Yeah. Yes. And I think that's a really good way to describe it, actually. There's, like, for me, like, faith, it's like your northern point, in a sense. It's like your compass, and if you're a Christian and a disciple, you kind of go through life, and it's always there. It's always in the back of your mind, but often just in the day-to-day stuff. It's not on the surface. It kind of looks quite normal from the outside, even though on the inside, it's very much God-led. Whereas moments like that, where everyone gathers, everyone is there for one thing, to focus on God, to speak out, declare, sing, who we are in Him, who He is to us, and kind of communicate with Him as well, hear Him speak. It's like, it's just powerful. It is. It's like a wee glimpse of, what heaven is like, and I think it is made more real because there are so many people there who really are genuinely following God, and this is like, it's like the fruit, those moments of worship and communion and community. It's like the fruit of a life lived day to day, trying to trip and stumble after Jesus as best you can. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, and fall over and get up again, and fall over and get up
again.
Yes,
100%. but it's like, then God's there and you meet him. I think it is a wee glimpse of heaven. It's like big moments like that. I know they're dramatic and you can't just live for that. It's about the day to day. But man, if heaven's like that, I'm happy. You know what I mean? That would be good for me. That would be good for me.
If John Key could only hear the Summer Madness is big.
Yes, I know. I would give him a very big head with it.
It would definitely give him a head. Definitely give him a big head. Anyway, but I think you've kind of talked there about the whole community thing. Is there times, where there's something that kind of helps you or strengthens you or keeps you going? Is it like maybe in scripture or in a doing something, or maybe it's in people that kind of keeps you going? Because like a bit like you, I kind of came to faith quite young, but there's kind of often points and things and people and scripture and situations that kind of keep you going, where sustain you or grow you. Have there been bits of that in your life?
It's very hard to choose one scripture, but I could probably say scripture in general. I know that makes me sound very holy, but I don't know. There's something about the Bible. If I start the day and I've read a chunk of the Bible, it's like I feel like there's something like solid inside me. My thoughts are less anxious. My decision making is a bit clearer. There's a sort of a peace that comes, and I don't really understand it. But I think there is just
soul.
What, sorry?
Porridge for the soul.
It is porridge for the soul. It is. I mean, there's a verse in Peter where it says, "Humble yourself, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that he may lift you up in due time. Cast all your anxieties on him because he cares for you. Be self-controlled and alert. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a lion looking for someone to devour. Resist him then, standing firm in the faith, because your brothers throughout the world are undergoing the same kind of suffering or persecution." And it's not that I'm always suffering, but that verse for me, it's always like it realigns me. You're going through your day and you're stressed out because, I don't know, my wife has given me a shopping list and I can't find the thing I need in Tesco's, or something that's actually serious. And I suppose sometimes I would just sort of stop and say that wee verse that I've memorized, and it helps me to kind of remember who I am, where I'm coming from, and where I'm going.
No, totally. I have Psalm 125 stuck on the side of my computer here. So whenever I'm here and whenever it's going wrong, it's like I'm always reminded in verse 3 is like the scepter of the wicked will not remain over the land allotted to the righteous. And every time it's like life is really difficult and church feels really hard and faith is like, it's like, actually, this will pass.
Yeah.
I know, and it's
absolutely.
It's a good reminder. Totally. My memory doesn't work. I need to stick it to the computer.
It's your age. That's what
it is indeed. And it's the heat at the moment. We are going to wrap up this section. And there's going to be more of Stephen next week. We're going to pick up with our second Sunday story part from him next week. And we'd love you to be with us. So we'll be back next Sunday if you want to hear the next bit of Stephen's story, and that will be absolutely brilliant. So Stephen, thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Great to be with you.